The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Nation, happy Wednesday, because it is Wednesday. Happy girls. Well, welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison, alongside Aisha Morrison, alongside Jess Navarez, alongside Jess Monet.
Oh my God.
Yep, I'm back. I'm back.
We heard that.
How y'all doing?
Good. It's almost Sunday.
I'm your favorite thing to say on Wednesday.
Yes, I'm going to say that every Wednesday now.
I'm crying. Almost Sunday is crazy. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
It's almost
so
Sunday.
many days.
It's closer to Sunday than it was yesterday.
Maybe DeMarvion Overshown literally moves through time faster than most humans. So
true in every aspect apparently.
yeah.
True.
So for him, it's almost Sunday. So.
Is it an early game? Is it an early game this week?
Noon.
Yeah, girl.
So we really close to
We
Sunday.
are.
I
See
hope those.
see what you did there? I'm dead. Let's go to the little injury roll call, ladies. All right. So far, who did not participate in practice? Of course, Brandon Aubrey still in jury duty. Deron Bland did not participate. Oh
Wow.
my goodness!
It's Wednesday.
Today is today. Kaylin Carson was a full participant. Trayvon Diggs did not participate. Linval Joseph did not participate as well. Eric Kendricks limited. Zach Martin and Micah Parsons did not participate, which is something Mike McCarthy had mentioned earlier in the press conference that he was not going to be a go today. And then Nick Vigil did not participate as well. Moving forward now, heading into the Atlanta Falcons, some concerns, obviously, still not having Micah Parsons. Getting pressure has been a problem. We talked about that yesterday on the podcast, but just how much more concern do y'all still have as far as this defensive line without Micah Parsons, without DeMarcus Lawrence? Because now we getting into week 9.
I mean, for this particular team, a lot, considering how many weapons they have and the ways that they choose to attack the defense. It's like, it's one thing to be like, oh, we have a strong running game, but now we're looking at a running back tandem, which Algier doesn't get talked about a lot, but he and Bijan Robinson, like, they actually are really good. And by really good, I mean some of the best in the league at attacking the weak side of the formation, right? So it's like, now we're talking about, like, that tandem having so many options in terms of how they attack the defense. And then Bijan Robinson is just like an offensive weapon. Yeah. He just does everything. He catches the ball. Dynamic. He receives the ball. He's out of the backfield. He does pass blocking.
They line up in the slot too.
Yes. So considering the issues that the Dallas Cowboys have had working against typical running backs, and by typical doing things that you predict, now you have this relatively unpredictable weapon. It definitely feels like we need Micah Parsons and D-Law, especially considering what we've seen from the defensive line the past couple of weeks.
For me, it's about a confidence thing with these younger guys. And, you know, when you have week after week of just getting your butt beat over and over again, to me, I wonder how much that kind of starts gnawing at their confidence and essentially, like, setting them back as players that can and have to continue to move forward to get better. So that worries me in that aspect. But as far as the Falcons go, look, here's the thing. Kirk is going to get you. And he's been playing some of his better ball, given the interception problem has been kind of his one thing, I would say. But coming off of last week against Tampa Bay, look, he's going to get you. And you can't underestimate him as well. So for me, this is a team that when I was really digging into these notes and watching film this morning, I was like, oh, man. That's not really a favorable game for the Cowboys. But also I want to point out, too, right now with a 3-4 record, the Cowboys currently have a 35% chance of going to the playoffs. If they drop to 3-5, it would go to a 10% chance of making the playoffs. So that's also a very, very crucial part of this game to continue and have a chance at the postseason.
Hate it here. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going. Not to keep going.
Hate it here.
I mean, yeah, to answer your question, I mean, you mentioned Algier and Bijan Robinson, who I just have so much respect for. But it's just also, too, it's not just the way they run the ball. It's also, too, some of the things they do out the backfield, the way they use some of their receivers out the backfield and things like that. So it's like, One thing that's concerning to me, and again, I say this with the most respect possible, it's not that it makes a huge difference as far as usage goes, but Linval Joseph dealing with the back is also big for your rotation, because regardless of how we feel about the defensive interior, the depth and guys getting breathers and getting time to come off the field matters. And if his back is really bothering him, who steps up at that position? And it also it could be a hit at that rotation. So it's like, yeah, not having Micah is going to be huge. They're going up against a quarterback and Kirk Cousins that is, to me, one of the last true pocket passers that is left in the NFL. Everyone else is mostly mobile. Last year, this time, we will be like licking our teeth at the idea of a quarterback that doesn't navigate out the pocket. But this year, it's like, to your point, Nicole, them not getting pressure. It seems like Micah needs a little bit more time with this high ankle. It feels like.
Yeah, and I mean, it was expected to be about day to day at first, and now it's turned into 3 games, technically 4 weeks that he's been away. So hopefully he does return soon. But I had a chance to, when I asked Chauncey Golston about just their lack of ability to get pressure, his answer to me was, you know, it's hard when you don't have your Micah Parsons, one of the league's best pass rushers, and D-Law. But he said what's really been hard is the fact that they've been having to learn along the way. You have guys like Carl Lawson and Linval, and all those guys are new. So it's been a learning curve for him specifically, just because you think about this is the most amount of snaps that Chauncey's been able to play throughout his career. So it has been a challenge for him. And I like the fact that he was honest, but now it's kind of like,
no, yeah.
now.
And that's something we talked about yesterday, is the fact that, like, something that got lost in translation. I think I can even admit that we got excited with the training camp talk and players talking so well of Zim and this system and how they were excited about the system. It is a new system, and it is a new way of doing things. And then to your point, Nicole, that Chauncey made, not only is it a new way of doing things, you have new players, and you have guys that are out that you can't replace.
Right.
So it's like triple whammy for this defense, specifically this defensive line. So I mean, I empathize.
Yeah, we're gonna break down this matchup in the next couple of segments, but I want to talk about the sense of urgency that this team needs to have heading into this game. Because, I mean, Jess, you said it yourself. I mean, that percentage drops as your record does not improve. Yeah, that makes sense. How much more? I mean, because we've talked. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this every week. Is the sense of urgency they have to have? This is a must-win game. Must-win game. We said this last week. We said this against the Lions. We said it against Pittsburgh, and so forth. But how much more of a sense of urgency do you feel like the Cowboys need to have compared to any other week?
Yeah, I mean, this not only can this game make or break essentially your playoff chances significantly. I mean, a 35% to a 10% drop, that's big. And especially for this team who seems to try to make their comeback when it's too late and still fall short, it's worrisome. So this is a game you cannot get behind in. You cannot allow Kirk Cousins to get ahead of the sticks. And if he does, that's what happens. And so for me, the sense of urgency comes from, yes, postseason, but also how is this year going to define how future years look for these younger guys? Again, that sense of confidence and the bad habits that they could be picking up from just trying to kind of play hero ball and catch up. That's what I worry about. Obviously, there should be a sense of urgency, especially with road games, since that seems to be, you know, something that you can kind of talk about as well. And so for me, the sense of urgency comes from the fact that you need this win, because if you're sitting at 3-5, what motivation does that give you to come to work? Genuinely. If you've lost over and over and over again, everybody around the building, what motivation does that give you? How does that make you want to work to come back if you're on an injury, and especially knowing your chances are so low for the playoffs? So to me, if you want to continue to have the motivation and kind of the desire to continue playing really good football, they need to win this game. And I think this is an opponent that didn't seem likely when you first saw the schedule to be a good opponent to play. But when you look at the Falcons, you win this game, I really think it could boost a lot of confidence that you need if you want a chance at the playoffs this year.
Yeah, Yeah. Plus, they lead the NFC South, so I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to.
They've won
beat a
4
team.
of their last 5 games with 30-point leads in the last 3 of 4.
I will actually throw up, like Aisha says.
Yeah.
Jess and Jazz, I didn't get a chance to ask y'all, obviously, yesterday. But how many more wins do you see the next 5 games alone? How many wins do you see the Cowboys winning?
I don't do
How many
predictions, so I don't have enough.
Let me see. Hold on.
I hate them too, but
I mean,
she makes me do 'em.
Absolutely.
I hate them too,
You
but
gotta do it.
if you're being realistic
gotta do
here,
it.
let's see. You have the Eagles, the Texans, the Commanders, the Giants, the Bengals. Okay. Out of the next 5, that's it.
Yep, just next 5.
So what was your question again?
How many
how
will
many
they
more-
win out of those 5?
out of those 5, how
Eagles,
many do you think they'll win?
Texans, Commanders, Giants, Bengals. I'm going to go 3.
that's what I said.
I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go Eagles, Giants, Bengals.
I mean, since I don't do predictions, I'm gonna just say none.
It's
It's not so much that
Yeah,
that's what I
that's what you're saying.
believe,
Yeah.
but it's more so that like week after week we talk about, okay, if they can improve in this way, they can beat this team, or they could potentially have this edge up. And week after week, we're disappointed in what they put on the field. And so for me, there's so many things that I need to see change before I actually have any sort of confidence in this team. So I'm like, I could say 1. I could say that they're going to beat the Giants. But if they beat the Giants and they lose the other 4, I don't care. So like, I can't even put the mental energy into going down this list and really think about it.
Yeah.
Until I know that they're going to actually work on some of the things that need to be worked on and improved. So I'm just like, does it matter? Nah, next week matters, and the rest don't. So 0.
Jazz is fed up.
But that,
You sound like Chrissy yesterday threw the paper and all that. She was over it.
but
I believe it.
So, AKA, keep your expectations low and you won't get disappointed.
It's more so keep your expectations week by week. There are improvements that we need to see this game that we need to see this team make, especially against the Atlanta Falcons. Even if they lose, we need to see them make some improvements. So I'm not going to talk about what they're going to do against the Eagles until I see can you have a consistent run game. Like I keep saying, statistically, we know that Dak Prescott has a way better win-loss record when he has an adequate run game that's supporting him. He hasn't had that this season, except for, based on the numbers, except for 2 games. So if we're not going to do that for him, why are we talking about the Eagles? If we're not going to figure out how to stop the run and not have your nose tackles get pushed back 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, why are we talking about the Eagles? Like, we are listening to coordinators going into week 9 in press conferences talking about fundamentals. Are we serious? Why are we talking about the Eagles? Yeah. Show me that you can execute your fundamentals against the Falcons, and then we can talk about any hopes that I have for the Cowboys against the Eagles. But until then, I'm just like, week by week for me.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you've gotten something different, but yet all tying back to the same issues every week. So it's like, for me personally, I just am running low on confidence in how much they can improve, because the improvements that need to be made, they're not quick improvements. And Aisha's talked about this. They're not easy fixes. There's not really much you can do to put a Band-Aid on them. They're there, and they're going to continue to be there, and you have to kind of go along knowing that they're there.
Even when you look at things like the play calling, like Mike McCarthy's like, well, protection issues impacted how I called the game. We've had protection issues all season.
You go back to last year.
Why can you not figure out something, or at least try the things that we know work? We know 4 vertical routes does not work. Why do you keep doing that? Like, we know that motion at the snap will improve you. Why do you keep doing less and less of that? We already know that Dak has protection issues, so why are you using that as an excuse? Why have you not come up with something to either mitigate that, work around it, account for it, something? Like,
She is fed up over here.
Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
She, we've always been away for some time.
I'm gonna let Aisha talk.
Let it out.
Go ahead, go ahead.
You let it out.
Aisha, what you got? 'Cause
Yeah, I wanted to answer your original question in regard to, and it ties back to kind of what Jazz was saying in regard to, just being week to week and this being the game that you need to focus on. I know that we've been saying like the sense of urgency and all that stuff. To me, this is like the game. This is like a make or break game.
For
number one, you were talking about like what's the urgency? Mm-hmm. Needs to be like next level high. Like, and I say that just because of just bringing up even the playoff numbers and things like that. this is a tough part of your season, but you also have some divisional games in here that are like pivotal. And it's like what they do against Atlanta. Atlanta does so many things that you have seen from an offensive standpoint with the motions, with the receivers, the shifts and all that stuff. They can run the ball. They are a good mix of so many of the things that we've talked about that this team struggles with. So I think, to your point, we will get some information about the team, but I'm looking for their urgency to be at an all-time high just because it does feel like you lose this game. And you mentioned the fact of being 3-5. I think they were 3-5 the year that they traded for Amari Cooper. Ain't no Amari Cooper coming this year.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That flipped the whole season for the Cowboys that year. Yep. I don't think they go out and do anything like that. So to your point, it also could be a pivotal point for just what things look like moving forward, because that's a slump. This is a conference game as well. Like, this is an NSV game. So watching Atlanta, it's not a good matchup on the offensive side of the ball versus Cowboys defense.
To answer the question, like everyone else said, I pretty much agree. I'm just like, I'm at the point where I have low confidence, but I know this team has good players. But how are they going to be used? So it's like sense of urgency to prove that we have play callers who can do their job, to prove that the offense can be cohesive, to prove that the defense can perform, to prove that you deserve to be in the playoffs. Because, I mean, let's be real. It's just like, as much as I want to see them go to the playoffs, but it's like, if you can't get up for this game and figure it out and put something on the field, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs anyway. Y'all got bigger problems.
That's how I felt. Like, I was about to ask y'all straight up, like, do you want them to go to the playoffs?
Not like this.
I mean,
in this state right now,
if they keep playing like this,
I can't take you all. I don't want to see.
If they keep playing like this, you won't have to worry about it. Here's the thing: if they keep playing like this, it's not happening, and you don't have to worry about it. But my fear, my personal fear, is talking to the guys in the locker room. Their confidence level in this team is still there. So it's not shaken. And kind of the mindset that I picked up from them was still early on. We obviously didn't take the pattern of, the upward tick and then kind of wheels fall off towards the end of the season. They even used the example of the Eagles last season, saying like, hey, they were really good, and then wheels fell off. And, we all know how that ended up for the Cowboys and the seeding and all of that and playing to their advantage. The example I got was, maybe we're having a slow start, but if we start to go up and up and up and up, we don't have to have the wheels fall off at the end. And I was like, okay. I mean, that's their outlook, is having a very positive outlook. And I don't know. I just keeping my expectations where they are.
They need to have that outlook, because like you said, if they don't, then what reason do they have to even come to work and show up, right? So, of course,
if you drop to 3-5,
I would expect them to have that outlook.
Yeah. If you drop to 3-5, though, I don't know how much that changes. That's the point.
It might be the wake-up call that a lot of guys need, because even losing the way that they lost last year, you heard guys talk differently about the team and about their role on the team and what they wanted to bring. So maybe outright missing the playoffs and, goodness forbid having a losing record, but at this rate it could happen. Maybe it'll wake people up to what they really need to be working on and focusing on.
What gets me for that, though, is you look at the laundry list of contract years that you have on this team right now.
That is facts.
And especially of veteran players, you might not be able to retain. So for me, if you want to see the playoffs again, this is your roster that has the best shot of doing it, and especially now that it sounds like some of the guys are on the come-ups from their injuries, and by that point, towards the end of the season, could be better and feel better to play. If you don't make the playoffs this year and you lose some of those veteran guys, a Zach Martin, a D-Law, what are you doing next year? You're going to draft and develop? No, seriously, you're going to draft.
You rebuild.
Wait 2 more years for those positions to be flourished and they're comfortable in them.
If you follow the typical Cowboys pattern, that's exactly what you do. You draft and develop. You find some coach who just got fired and who everybody thinks is... Never mind. Go ahead.
We're going to take our first break. And up next, we are going to be breaking down this Falcons offense and how they match up with this Cowboys defense. We'll be right back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
I'm sorry.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
Hey parents, get ready for a spooktacular time at Little Stars presented by Nuna on Wednesday, October 30th. This is a free Halloween-themed event, and it's perfect for little pumpkins aged 5 and under. Join us from 10 to 12 p.m. for fun activities, silly games, and a lot of treats. Visit thestardistrict.com for more information, and that's today. So, cool.
Halloween's tomorrow.
It is. That's
Do y'all
crazy.
go trick-or-treating?
Is it?
No.
It really is.
Not
31.
this
Are y'all
one.
dressing up as anything?
I wanted to, but I didn't get
you?
it together in time.
Yeah, of course.
What are you about to be?
I have another job that I have to dress up at. And I get to pick, and it's going to be Taylor Swift.
I knew you were about to say that.
You're gonna dress up as Taylor Swift?
She's sick.
Well, so here's the thing. When the Eras Tour movie came out, I made like a little costume from one of her music videos. I was like, why am I going to go buy something? I already have this.
You made a costume out of her music video. Wait.
Yeah. So all the Swifties, when the Eras Tour movie came out, we went to the movie theaters dressed up. That's just what we do.
I'm into
The dedication.
I have never.
Y'all think Cowboys fans go hard?
That's insane.
Swifties we're on a new level, man.
Well, hopefully.
I've already shifted my focus to cons in December. So
I want to go to there.
anime conventions.
Comic-Con.
See? Oh, Comic-Con.
You should talk to Chauncey. He goes to anime conventions.
And
I have a list of the
Yeah.
players who are
That's
anime
dope.
nerds.
There you
I
go.
love that for y'all.
I'll check in.
That's gonna be dope. That's dope. All right, ladies. How do y'all feel like this team, the Cowboys, match up with the Falcons? And we'll start Cowboys defense to Atlanta Falcons offense. Just go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so when I was doing some digging, something I noticed is that the coaching staff from your Atlanta Falcons that you're facing this week all came from the Los Angeles Rams. So you have Raheem Morris, your head coach, Jimmy Lake, is that his last name? Your defensive coordinator, Zach Robin, your offensive coordinator. They came from the Rams. If you keep in mind, you take a little time machine back to the good old days of last year. Cowboys beat the Rams 43-20 at that point. Some key things. Micah had 2 sacks in that game, so can take advantage right there. Dak threw over 300 yards. CD had 12 grabs, over 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. Going through there, you had Tony Pollard, who had 53 rushing yards. He averaged about 4 yards a carry. So for me, when I was watching film on this game compared to even what the Falcons did last week against Tampa Bay, there's a lot of similarities that I think this Cowboys team could take advantage of on all sides of the ball here. So I would be curious to know if they're watching film from this game as well as, all the film from the Falcons this week, because the coaching, it's it's different because obviously you have different personnel, but it's very similar in the sense like the scheme is the same thing. They're doing the same thing that the Rams did very well, which you have an efficient run game, you spread the ball out well, and you utilize all of your weapons, and you utilize them early. That's really the biggest thing I noticed is you get them going early, you get them hot, and then you open up your game. So in this case, run game opens up passing game, which we know we wish we could see it here. But the Falcons will do that early. So again, if you let them take the lead early, things can get ugly because that opens up their playbook, and that's really what I've noticed from their offensive coordinator. But there are little things you can be picking on from that game last year and really like take note of the similarities.
I think when it when it comes to, we're just on like just comparison in general. Okay, so one of the first things that I noticed when I was just looking at the Falcons, because I'm like, yes, they are a very good team, but they're obviously not perfect. And so in their 3 losses, they were held to under 20 points each time. So I know in the past, the Cowboys defense has made that a goal, like let's hold the opposing team to a certain number of points. That might not be a bad idea in this case. And yes, you have weapons on the Falcons side, like Bijan Robinson, who just seem to have a good game every single week. So they might have to, look at other areas and try to stop some of the other runners, try to limit what the wide receivers do. That might be a little bit easier than focusing on Bijan Robinson. It's a little bit harder to tell because it's like, okay, how much can he turn up? It's like if these guys do start, negatively impacting some of their other weapons, can Bijan Robinson carry it all on his own? If they were to say yes, I wouldn't be surprised. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to be the ticket. We haven't really seen a lot of complimentary football from this team. We've seen it at times, but not for 4 straight quarters, right? So I think when it comes to the defense doing their job, limiting the scoring is going to be essential. Outside of that, I've heard some people call for changes to the safety personnel. Not to knock anybody, but just, speaking on who has what strengths. And I'll admit, I did have to go a little bit further back to actually look at what Wanye Thomas brings to the table. And once I did, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I see why they might want to put him in this situation as opposed to like Dono, for example. So, even a change like that, which at this point, I mean, why not try it? Especially when Wanye has shown that he has strengths in man coverage, right? So why not? So I think if they make that change, we actually might see some surprises from the defense. So I'm not necessarily getting my hopes up, but I just think those should be the targets.
Hold on one second. So we had a chance to talk about that yesterday, but I want to get your thoughts about that. So do you feel like Wanye or Marquise Bell should get more opportunities?
Yeah.
You stick with Wanye?
I would go with Wanye. I mean, I think either one of them, you could try it and see what happens, but I think Wanye would be the better choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. Yeah.
We've kind of been waiting for it.
Facts.
Yeah, no, I think that Jess brought up a really good point about the new OC, Zach Robinson, and some of the parallels to how the Rams offense was run. I mean, you see a lot of that stamp on this Atlanta offense. Obviously, anytime we talk about offense, we're talking about this offensive line. Their offensive line is confusing.
It's weird.
It's weird because I like the fact, and when I'm watching them, I'm thinking about the fact that how I feel about the Cowboys. Their tackles aren't playing super great. However, they figure out what works for them, and that's what they do well. They're not super powerful. They're athletic. They get them out in space. They really also, too, and this is the other side of things, is that they do have runners that are blessed enough that they can create. So the offensive line, although it's not perfect by any means, they do just enough to be able to, to have openings for their run game and stuff like that to get to the second level. What I found interesting about them, too, you brought up the fact that they spread the ball around like crazy. I mean, they can get it out of it. They run a lot of 11 personnel. They have the highest 11 personnel percentage in the NFL, and they're successful running and passing out of it. What, sir? So, I mean, it's just so much that they can do to you because of the weaponry and because of the fact that they trust that they can spread this ball out. I really don't know what you sell out to stop. Because the thing about their run game is that it's run, but it's a hybrid of run and pass. because they use Ray McLeod out the backfield. They use Darnell Mooney in the flats. Like, they use their running backs as receivers too, and their receivers to do running back stuff too. So it's like, for the Cowboys, I'm worried about the matchup because, again, Jess brought up the fact that they brought some things over that are Rams-like. Their motion is effective in how they do it. And they have, from a receiving aspect, they have 3 players that have they average 10-plus yards a reception per catch. That means this is a big play offense. This offense has the ability to get big plays in the run game and passing game. So from a defensive standpoint, man, like, we're talking about the same thing again. It's creating turnovers. And also, creating turnovers and being able to stop the run as effectively as you can. And we'll see if the Cowboys can do that. But, offensively, I like what they're doing over there. I mean, shoot.
It's fun to watch.
There's a lot to like. But I think what you said about, like, what do you sell out to stop? Like, even if you don't look at it as selling out, it's – when I was looking at the matchups, I was just like, what exactly are the Cowboys expected to do here? Like, there's not any particular area where I'm like, okay, that's like a strength that they have. It's really a lot of hope here. I hope they can do this. I hope they can do that. Yeah.
If you're Mike Zimmer, where do you start? Because, I mean, like you had mentioned, you can't focus on one person to, I'd say, contain.
Yeah.
But if you had to decide, all right, like, let's start here in order to then, I guess, focus on somewhere else, where do you start if you're Mike Zimmer?
Well, wherever you start is going to be an area that requires some level of improvement. So I'm okay with saying that they would have to start with pressure, because at the end of the day, all the things that they do stem from Kirk Cousins, and he's not a running quarterback, right? So one of the things that you can do is hope to throw his timing off. And I'm going to use that word a lot, but hope to throw his timing off, hope to get him a little bit flustered, hope that he makes a mistake. Now that's tough, considering not only how good their run game is, but the fact that they're so successful at running from under center, right? So it's like, okay, it's a lot of hope in that case, because we're not even talking about a shotgun situation. We're talking about right under center. He turns around to hand the ball. I can't talk.
It's fine.
He turns around and hand the ball.
Those days.
So there's not a lot of chinks in this armor, honestly, but I think that would be one place they could start. Today at practice, I saw, looked like they were working with Overshown. I'm not sure. I didn't get to ask nobody, but it looked like they were working on helping him get better at getting off blocks and going after the tight end, which presumably Pitts. So maybe that's something that they're focusing on, because it was something that he was working on by himself. So it seems like they are planning on using his specific set of skills, which is slightly different, to do something defensively. So
I would expect to put a bigger body on him.
I would expect
Not a bigger
multiple
body.
bodies on him.
I wouldn't picture a bigger body. I would picture a safety that can cover.
Well,
So it needs to be Wanya and Marquise Bell. It can't be it can't be anybody but Marquise Bell or Wanya.
I'm with you, but I think they just want to utilize his speed better. And have it go towards the right effort.
I mean, to be honest, though, I think you need multiple defenders on him pretty much at all times, multiple safeties, whoever you need. One safety especially that have been struggling to tackle well is not going to cut it for a Kyle Pitts. Absolutely that's just not going to work out. But I wanted to answer your question real quick. What I would start with is shutting down the run, because the run will open up the passing game for them. And something, again, I want to go back to Kirk Cousins. Yes, he's been very poised in the pocket, and he's been playing some of his best football, and coming off of pretty much an 80% passing rate last week. When he's pressured, he will turn over the ball. He has 6 turnovers so far this season, which, you want to put in comparison. Dak Prescott has 2 more, 8. Okay, whatever. We're not even going to get started on that. Don't get me started on it. But I will say, if you start having to force him to pass the ball, you have the higher percentage and the higher chance of creating those turnovers, which essentially, I personally think the biggest key to winning this game is whoever is going to create more turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. Because the Falcons will do it. They're going to try to do it to Dak as much as they can, especially coming off of, what they've been seeing over here, what we all know is going on, and, the interceptions with Dak. But I do think if you do the same thing and you kind of put that pressure, you shut down the run, you force him to pass the ball, those interceptions will come. And to me, not only does that boost your confidence for, your DBs that they desperately need right now, but that also, to me, shifts the game. And it keeps their offense off the field. It keeps all of those problems we're talking about, a Kyle Pitts, a Bijan. It keeps them all off the field to where you don't have to worry about it. The less that offense is on the field, the better chance you have of winning this game.
Yeah, you mentioned DeMarvion Overshown. I was trying to think, like, what was he practicing? Or if he was, one thing about DeMarvion, we saw last week, they brought him off the edge. I think to answer your question, what can you do? I think they might start doing that a little bit more. And if he is going to be doing that, he is going to be going up against tight ends more frequently, on that edge. Maybe they are trying to work that as a wrinkle, because that's the thing about blitzing. And to your point, that might be one of the only ways they can get pressure on Kirk Cousins. Your guys got to get there. Guys got to be able to get there. Also, too, with the Falcons, they use I think the way they use their tight ends is intriguing. I'm so glad that you talked about Kyle Pitts. I'm so glad you talked about Kyle Pitts, because a lot of what they want to do is centered around him. Like, we can talk about Bijan, but you can tell that there's a concerted effort to get Kyle Pitts ISO'd, find favorable matchups with him. He's even doing some things in the slot. I really, in my heart, I can't picture anybody else. Like, he can make us have a really long day.
He's really hard to contain.
He is. I mean, the physicality, how big he is, the catch radius, the size, like you're talking about, the weird suddenness that he has. He's just
His yak.
He's so athletic.
Yak for me.
So athletic. One thing that concerned me. Yeah.
He's such a fun tight end to watch.
But it's not just him though. Like, they'll go heavy. They'll go 12. They'll put another tight end out there and block on you. They'll go 21, and like they can find success in so many different formations. So this like I said, it's not an easy matchup. I will say also too, what scares me a tad bit is their usage of Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod. They're very manipulative in how they like slip them at the last minute to make plays. And I like into the flats, and this offense in general does a really good job. Number one, they sell motion like crazy. There's a lot of effort. You can tell these guys believe in their scheme.
Yeah,
you can tell
it shows.
They play with confidence.
Yes. It's clear on the field.
Kirk
right?
Cousins plays with a lot of poise, which I feel like we've seen when he doesn't believe in his scheme and he's feeling that pressure. He's not playing like he's been. So
yeah, it's just. I'm looking at just the fact that they can toss this ball all over the yard. And it is, they are attacking the middle of the field a little bit more than normal. That's where most of his picks are coming from, too, to your point. So that's why I'm saying, like, whoever the safety is that's guarding Kyle Pitts needs to be doing,
good job. Their job.
Yeah.
Tackling.
Yeah.
So
tackling well. Yeah.
It's not an easy matchup. I guess if I'm trying to
stresses everybody out.
If I'm trying to say something hopeful,
Yeah.
we're hoping that they can find ways to manufacture, your question earlier, find ways to manufacture pressure early. Maybe you go score first. Like, maybe you try to figure those things out. But as far as just like straight up stopping these dudes, tackling and taking the ball away, I don't see any other way of getting it done.
Do you see, remember how Mike Zimmer, to start the game, he had 6 guys at the line of scrimmage. Do y'all feel like that could work?
No, because
you need him out in space.
Could it? No. Could it work? Yes, but
that was the question.
You mentioned them playing a lot under center.
Yes.
You know what works really well coming from under center? Play action.
True.
And that's what the Niners did. They was like, oh, what are you guys doing down there? I'm just gonna throw behind you.
Or maybe, what if this is just me thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why I said yes, because I'm thinking could, is because if we're talking about getting pressure, that might help them do that. Now, your point about being in center, play action, there's also
But that's
there's
to stop
also
the run. They lined up like that, not to rush the passer.
It was to stop
They
the
loaded
run.
up the line to stop the run.
But
so
maybe
it's
if you disguise it, do a little disguising there,
possibly
that could work.
But that goes back to your point earlier about guys still learning.
Yes.
So what you
have to do what you can with who you have right now.
He's
like
limited.
You have to read the room to what's available to their best abilities without having them try to chase their tails and play hero ball. Because I feel like when you start loading up a little too much complexity here, that's when you see guys missing their assignments, getting sloppy with their technique, and then that's the snowball effect that kind of starts coming out. I know it sounds horrible, but like as simplistic as you can make this to just get it done, to your point, Aisha, like it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You just have to make sure you do not let these guys get ahead.
But what if not letting them get ahead does mean doing something fancy though?
Well, if they can utilize it, here's the thing: utilize it. I would love to see it, but can they utilize it? Because what you've seen so far, it's not utilized to the best of what they can do. Like it almost seems like it's over. What's the word I'm thinking of? Overwhelming for them at points.
Maybe.
We got to utilize this break real quick. So we're going to be right back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Head to AT&T Stadium to experience Rally Day presented by SeatGeek on Saturday, November 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get ready to cheer on your Dallas Cowboys with tours of AT&T Stadium, autographs from the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, ticket giveaways, games, and more. Visit AT&T Stadium/Rally Days to get your tickets today.
I need a key matchup.
Y'all missed her harmonizing back here.
What is the biggest matchup to watch on Sunday between the Falcons and the Cowboys? We're going Cowboys defense, Falcons offense.
I'm going to say Kyle Pitts versus whoever.
Everyone. Kyle Pitts versus everyone.
We don't know. So whoever is assigned with that one.
I'm going to go Mike Zimmer and Zach Robin, their OC. I feel like whoever can out-scheme, is going to be victorious here. And I only say that because if Zim can scheme something up that can create turnovers in this game, I really feel like that will be the game changer here.
It's going to be
me.
the Marion Overshone and Maris Lewifau versus Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. I mean, they're going to have to play with some violence. Yeah. Like tone setting.
They can do that.
It's important. It's important that they establish themselves. The Cowboys linebackers, these young ones, they establish themselves early in this game because this team gets to the second level so frequently. They gonna see each other, and it's just like, well, who's gonna make the other guy miss? Mm-hmm. Who's gonna be the more physical? So this linebacker core is gonna have to come play, specifically those young guys. Those are my.
Now, which player do you feel defensively needs to have his best game?
You look stressed. Oh my God, you look stressed. I'm sorry. I was. Who do I from the Cowboys defense?
Cowboys defense.
Sugar.
I'm gonna say Demo.
That's a good answer.
I'm gonna say Demo. I'm stressed for you guys.
I feel like it's always either Osa or Demo for me. Considering what they have to do in terms of getting pressure and what they might have to make up for, considering that like Micah Parsons still will likely not be back, it sounds like. And D-Law definitely won't be. I'm gonna say Osa. Like, even though he has been one of the better players, he gonna have to like have a hell of a game on Sunday.
For me, they have. We didn't talk about the rest of their receivers like that, but yeah, Darnell Mooney, Drake London is a player. For me, it's going to be Trayvon Diggs versus Drake London. Now, Drake London is doing some things in the slot, but they do bounce him out to the outside. This could be an opportunity for Trayvon Diggs to get a turnover and things like that. But one thing I noticed about Drake London and Darnell Mooney sometimes, they're a little harder to get his hands on. Drake London, you got to be physical with him at the point of contact. You got to make him work for that yardage. So I'm looking for that matchup. I think that the size, they match up well. Hopefully Trayvon Diggs can continue the game that he had last week to come in here and maybe force a turnover. So, yeah, that's the matchup for me.
Well, I know this Falcons team thrives off getting turnovers as well because they had 3 last week. So hopefully this defense, the Cowboys defense, can find ways to come away with takeaways, but we will find out. That has been a good show today, ladies and gentlemen who have been watching, I'm sure. For Aisha Morrison, for Jess Navarez, for Jazz Monet, and Nicole Hutchison, we will be back here tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!